Hello and welcome to the 1000 Comics podcast. Hey, it's your host Matt Heath. How you guys doing? Um, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my new job before we get in the. First of all, the interview I had with Stosh Mikita, an amazing interview. That's who I have on the show today, Stosh Mikita, and I gotta say. Um, I felt like I was a little. He was great. He was great in the interview, but me, on the other hand, I feel like a lot of negative memories came up when I was talking to Stash, so it made me a little reluctant to ask him questions. It had nothing to do with him. It just had to do more with my past and the headspace I was in when we both did comedy together back then. Back in that Joker's Wild era of Connecticut comedy. Um, so stay tuned for that interview. It's an amazing interview. Before I get started in the interview, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my new job in comedy, which is working at the Hartford Funny Bone. I love working there. It has been an amazing experience so far. I haven't gotten any stage time yet, but it doesn't even matter. I've learned so much about the other side of it, the other side of not being on stage. Every other job, because when I went into the Hartford Funny Bone, it was a couple months back, and it was when I first moved back here to Connecticut, and I had no jobs lined up whatsoever. I went in and I asked. You know what? I'm not going to name his name, but if you're listening, if he's listening, he knows who he is. He's kind of one of the if not the best behind the scenes guy in Connecticut comedy there is. He's the one that hired me and gave me this job at the Hartford Funny Bone. He's amazing. Thank you so much for the job. I applied for every position at the Hartford Funny Bone. I wanted to see the ins and outs of a more corporate comedy club because I've worked for regular comedy clubs, or I've worked the door and done job hosted, done jobs only a comedian would do. But I want to do the jobs that the people that are basically working for the comedians. If you think about it, in a comedy club, every person is working just so the comedian can tell his jokes. And that's how I honestly feel now. So I applied for every position at the Hartford Funny Bone, and I started out in the kitchen. And I talk about a little with Stosh about me being in the kitchen there. So you'll see that when my conversation with Stosh Mikita. But I really have enjoyed working in the kitchen. I see how hard of work it is to actually work in the kitchen of a comedy club, and I want to say to all the people who work in kitchens, I kudos to you and thank you for what you do, because now that I do it too, and I may not do it forever, but I appreciate every person that works in the kitchen at a comedy club, because it is hard work. Because I get into the kitchen stuff a little bit with Stosh, so you'll see that. But I also got promoted, in a sense. I'm still in the kitchen, but some nights now I work the door at the Funny Bone, and that is amazing too. I actually had a great conversation. He actually just gave me his CD with the feature comic from this past weekend, John Campanelli. I just listened to his CD, Nervous. The title of John Campanelli's CD is Nervous. Give that a listen. John Campanelli, what a great comic. Listen to his CD. I I gotta say that working the door is a great experience at the Hartford Funny Bone. Much different than working the door at the Funky Buddha Lounge. Which, if you listen to the show, you know that I've worked the door in other places. But it's much different at a more corporate venue like the Hartford Funny Bone. Um, I just gotta say it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. Get to hear an amazing show every night. You do a job like that. I also have to tell you guys this story. I have to tell this story of when Leslie Jones came to the Hartford Funny, the first black woman on Saturday Night Live, one of the female Ghostbusters. Leslie Jones. She was amazing. I was working in the kitchen the weekend she was there. It was actually my it might have been my first. I think it was my first weekend at the Funny Bone, and I had to do something. I had to give her my script for Ms. Scrooge, which I'm actually going to change the name. Ms. Scrooge is also available on Amazon.com. If you guys want to read it, you can buy that script on Amazon.com. But Ms. Scrooge, I wanted to give Leslie Jones a copy of it, so I wrote her this letter and gave her the script. I also actually gave her a little gift. I gave her a whole little package. Um, the first time I ever hosted a comedy show, I wore a tie. It was Halloween. The first time I ever hosted a comedy show was on Halloween, and I made this tie, and it was a Ghostbusters 3 tie. This was before the Ghostbusters reboot came out, which in a sense is the third Ghostbusters. So I had this Ghostbusters 3 tie. I only wore it maybe once that night I hosted on Halloween. I think that was I maybe wore it on Halloween one or two other times, but I only really ever wore it for that specific evening. So I thought I'd give it to Leslie Jones along with this script. So I wrote her this letter. Dear Ms. Leslie Jones, first of all, I'd just like to say I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm writing you this letter in hopes that you will read this script I wrote entitled Ms. Scrooge. I gotta say, I'm actually changing the name, guys, Miss Scrooge, as soon as possible because I found out there's a movie already called Ms. Scrooge. So I think I'm gonna change the title to Scared Out of the Dickens. I think that's what it's gonna be called. I know it's already published, it's already out there, but there's already a movie with the same title. Why should I use that title if it's something's already titled Ms. Scrooge? I can't use that. Anyways, back to the letter. I believe that you would be perfect fit to play the main character of this story. Ms. Jacobs is a black woman about your age that has been estranged from her family. She's a high school English teacher living in Florida. In an effort to parody Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, Ms. Jacobs returns to her hometown for a Christmas vacation and is visited by three ghosts. I hope you enjoy the read. Best wishes, Matt Heath. So I gave her this package. I gave her my Ghostbusters tie. We took a selfie together, and then she left. She left. I'm forgetting a part of the story. After she left that evening, I come back and the kitchen manager tells me, Matt, I saw when you were talking to Leslie Jones, she dropped her towel that has her name embroidered on it. Leslie embroidered on the towel. So there I am working in the kitchen. We're both in the kitchen. We got Leslie Jones' sweat rag, and she tells me I got to go to the green room between shows and return it to her. Now, I feel like this is a little awkward. I got to return Leslie Jones is a big star. I got to return her towel to what if she thinks that I stole it, or something or something to the effect of that. But I still got to return the towel to her. So I go I'm sure if it was just a towel, it'd just be a towel. But there's a towel with their name embroidered on it. I'm thinking these are these. It's got to be kind of expensive, right? So, and what's weirder, if I return the towel or if I kept the towel? If I kept the towel, now that would be weird, right? I'm thinking that'd be much weirder if I kept Leslie Jones' towel. So I go, I knock on the green room door. There's a few people in there, the other comics that are there that evening, maybe some of Leslie Jones' entourage. I don't know if she has an entourage, but there are other people besides Leslie Jones in there. She answers the door. I hand her the towel. She says, "Oh my God, thank you for returning this to me. It was a very nice moment. I'm happy that I got to return her belongings to her. I don't think she seemed as creeped out as I thought she might be when I returned the sweat towel to her. I don't know. Why do I keep calling it a sweat towel? I'm pretty sure she uses it for sweat when she's on stage. Rock stars and other comedians use towels. Yes. So, anyways, Leslie Jones. 2 days later, right after she left, a day later, express mail. I get a package. I open the package. It's the same letter and script that I had written her. She kept the Ghostbusters tie. Maybe she'll wear it at some point. I hope she does. For some kind of occasion, she use that Ghostbusters tie. But I got my letter back, and along with it is a handwritten letter from Leslie Jones. This is what it says on the handwritten letter. Matt, my lawyer insists that I do not take a script from anyone but an agency for legal reasons. I did not realize this was a script when you handed it to me last night. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, but she says something really encouraging at the end here, and I really appreciated this. I think I might even put it in a frame along with the picture that I took with her. But she says, "But I appreciate your support, and I wish you best of luck in your creative endeavors, Leslie." And I just thought that was really nice of her, and I wish the best for Leslie Jones. I hope she goes on to have a great career. I really think that woman has a future in not only stand up but movies, everything else. Now, this has been kind of a long monologue today, a long monologue. So now let's get into it. This is my interview that I had with Stosh Mikita. You want to start? Can we turn off Bojack before we start?
Sure.
All right.
I'm just gonna mute it so that my screensaver doesn't come on, and I keep sucking juice off the computer for the recorder.
Okay. So the computer will die? The computer's plugged in.
Yeah, I'm saying I have this plugged into here just so it doesn't drain the battery. It uses AA batteries.
Oh, the device we're using to record. Anyways, welcome to the 1000 Comics podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Stosh Mikita.
What's up, man? Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Today? This is the first time we've recorded outside of. This is actually the first recording I've done in Connecticut.
Oh shit! And it's a road game.
Yeah, so it's kind of strange because I finally have my little recording studio set up, the one I'm going to use in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And you were the first person I thought to ask to be on the 1000 Comics podcast up in Connecticut. And you said yes, but you didn't want to come to my studio. You wanted to record here.
Yeah, it was a rough few days comedy-wise.
Yeah.
I had a show in the city Thursday where I didn't end up getting home till like 2:33. And then we're up at Mohegan Mohegan Sun Comics on Friday. Our buddy Mike Fenoya was featuring for Big J Okerson.
Oh, that sounds like it was a good show.
Yeah, Catherine Geronimi was hosting. It was just top to bottom.
So I know
fun.
all those people. Well, I don't know Big J personally.
Played blackjack for the first time.
That was the first time you played blackjack?
Yeah, I played it like a coward too, dude.
How old are you?
39.
You're 39. That was the first time you ever played blackjack.
Yeah, I don't like gambling.
Okay. I mean, I could see that. I mean, you played slot machine, though, before, right?
I have played slot machines, yeah.
See, the thing about Mohegan Sun is, like, I'm starting to go there a lot with my girlfriend. We here in Connecticut, we got the biggest, Mohegan Sun's like the biggest casino in the world, I think, right?
I know it was at one point. I don't know if it still is.
No.
Those records are always changing.
Anyways, the slot machines there, I never was addicted to slot machines before, but now at Mohegan, they've changed it, so it's like every slot machine is based on either one of my favorite movies or TV shows.
Yeah, they had a Simpsons one there.
There's a Simpsons one. There's a Big Lebowski one. There's a National Lampoon's Vacation machine.
They're just trying to draw millennials into the casino any way they can.
I know. But it's like I just want to see what they do. You know what I mean? It's not so much I want to win money on them. I just want to see what the slot machine does.
Yeah, like does the Simpsons one, do you get 3 donuts in a row or something like that?
You know, it's funny. I sat there on the Simpsons one and I spent $100, just to see what all the, the things like Homer would say. Like when Krusty pops up on the machine,
yeah,
he goes, I think I'm having another acid flashback. It's like the funniest thing to see on a slot machine.
Yeah, I'm not much of a gambler, though.
So what happened when you played blackjack?
So I'm pretty cheap money-wise. I don't like to spend money. I had a $100 bill and a $20 bill in my pocket, and I was like, I'm just going to play the lowest stakes hand, which was like $10 hands. So I just put $20 on. And then I won 3 times in a row, and I was like, this is too much excitement for me, and I just cashed in my chips.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, you won some money, so...
Yeah, it was a good way to double or triple my money real quick. Gas money for the way home,
See, when I play blackjack, I think the other people at the table always get annoyed because I'll, have a 10 or whatever. Like, when you have, like, the easy cards...
Yeah.
You know when to hit, you hit, but like if you have like a 14 or something like that, I'm always like, should I hit? I'll ask the other people at the table,
That was another reason I bailed early too, is because the only seat there was right to the immediate right of Big J. So when I sat down, he was just like, Stosh, you're going to fuck me. And then I did. I won 3 in a row. I ended up fucking him. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to take this and get out of your way, sir.
Is Big J a big gambler? Or?
I don't know. He seemed to know what he was doing on the blackjack, though. Yeah. He was giving Fenoya a lot of advice. You know what?
At Mohegan, when you sit at those the bars that have the blackjack, you could get free drinks if you sit at those bars and gamble while you do it. So if you like blackjack,
Cal wasn't even gambling, but he was taking advantage of the free drinks on the floor, dude.
What'd you win on your Dunkin' Donuts cup?
One free muffin, dude. You like muffins?
I'll take it. My boss at work likes the muffins at Dunkin' Donuts, so I'll probably use that.
I'm not allowed muffins on my stupid diet.
You're on a diet. Why are you on a diet?
Well, I was pre-diabetic, and then I lost a couple friends within the last year or so I've been trying to take care of myself.
To diabetes?
No, just to different things in general, but
just to different health.
When it's like your friends your age start dying off, you get scared.
Yeah, it's like, do you mind if I ask who they were?
Yeah, it was the one that hit me like real hard was my buddy Vin. He was a couple years older than me, but we were like wrestling friends back during like Attitude Era, Raw versus Nitro, and all that goofiness.
Right.
And we'd hang out all the time and just slam pizzas and drink beers and shit. And he ended up dying of liver cancer earlier this year. So it was like, I'd already quit drinking like a year and a half before that, but then I was like, I've also got to take care of my diet too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to think about that a lot. I just got a job at the Hartford Funny Bone, and I'm working as a line cook in the it's like, and when you start eating all that fried food, like you can just like feel like you're like how what effects it has on your body, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, man. When I was working at Joker's Wild Comedy Club, when that was still around.
Yeah. Were you working in the kitchen at all?
Not in the kitchen, but me and Pat were working in the office, and we would eat like what they had there. So it was just like, Joker's didn't pay for shit, so me and Pat would find ways to eat all the goddamn mozzarella sticks they had.
Oh my! The deep fried stuff is just like it's like killer, man. Like you could just like feel it immediately, like the effects that it's putting on you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm almost down to the weight of when I started comedy. Like when I started, I was around 250, and then I ballooned up. Like when I started dieting, I was at 317.
Yeah, and I think we started comedy around the same time, right? I think you might have started like 6 months before me.
Yeah, I hit 5 years in May.
In May. Yeah, so I think I'm just around hitting 5 years.
Okay.
But there was a brief period I took off. I took like a few months off. And I think you were there the last time I saw you was actually my first day back doing comedy, which was a couple years back.
Okay.
You remember that? When I came down, it was down here in New Haven. I forget what the name of the bar was, but it was like It was an open mic, and you were standing there with your shirt untucked. I remember specifically as I was like, "What's with the Seinfeld comment?" Because you were wearing a tie, but your shirt was untucked.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You got to do the tuck. You can't wear the tie without the tuck."
No, not with jeans. You don't.
With jeans, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, with jeans, if you're wearing a shirt and tie with jeans, you untuck that bad boy. Like the Irish guy that Kristen Wiig goes out with in Bridesmaids. You ever see that movie?
No, I did see Bridesmaids, but I don't remember him untucking.
Yeah, the guy shows up to give her a ride home from the wedding at the end.
Oh, right,
with a nice ass outfit on, dude. My man cleans up good.
What do you think of Kristen Wiig? You think she's good looking?
I think she's good looking. I think she's hilarious. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. I think she's really funny too. When you got the good looking and really funny, like,
No, that's the best combination.
Can't beat that.
Ever since I started comedy, I've been attracted to humor in women. Like, that's like the number one thing.
Is she funny? Like,
yeah. So it's like every female comic that I work with all the time, I have a crush on. You pretty much.
Oh, I know what you mean, but then it's like you can't like act on it because you work together. And
yeah, for sure, dude. I did. I definitely mind my manners.
Because I learned that the hard way, and I learned it the hard way multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what, because you get drawn back, you know what I mean?
It's never a good idea to hook up with coworkers, because when it inevitably goes south, dude, you're still going to have to be on shows with that person all the time and stuff.
Exactly. Right now I'm dating somebody who's not a comic, but she knows, like, the business aspect of comedy very well. And I'd recommend that for any comic, to be dating someone that knows the business of comedy, but like and no interest in comedy at all.
That's a great combination. Like Jim Gaffigan and his wife.
I was actually thinking
his wife
the same
helps him
thing.
write.
Yes.
She's like the brains behind his operation.
Yeah, it's almost like the how they say, like, every great man has a greater woman behind him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like every guy who's, interested in doing comedy really needs somebody like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you look at a guy like Rick Voss and his wife.
Rich Voss.
Rich Voss, right. I just met him the other day because I saw him at Mohegan.
Okay.
Yeah, and his wife's a comedian, right? Because she did that documentary about women in comedy.
Yeah, Bonnie McFarlane. She's hilarious.
Right.
You could argue that she's funnier than him. I would argue that.
But so there you go. Do you think that like hurts his career, like having, or do you think that hurts or helps his career, like being married to female comedian.
I think it helps. They have that podcast together. My wife hates me, which is really popular. So
I didn't even know they did a podcast together.
yeah, it's pretty funny. It's them yammering at each other as an old married couple.
All right.
Man, Bonnie is brutal, man. She could really tear him apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so I feel like we got to do some reminiscing here, man, because we've started comedy around the same time. You miss Joker's Wild at all, man?
I miss having like the home baseness of it, and the fact that it was like the inmates running the asylum.
Yeah.
Comedy wise, I don't miss it because I feel like I was too dependent on it. Like I just learned how to do good at Jokers, and that was it. So it's like you're at the same place all the time. You're playing for this very specific trashy audience or whatever, like because it was just dregs that would come in there, everyone on comp tickets and stuff. And then you go on a bar show or you go down in the city and try to do comedy, and the crowds are totally different. So the fact that place closing down made a lot of people from around here have to go do the 4 to 6 person bar shows and the shit where no one's paying attention to you. Really helped make everyone improve.
Well, because you've lived in New Haven. Have you lived in New Haven your whole life?
No, I grew up a town called Ansonia. It's like 2 towns over, like 10-minute drive.
But not far, right? That
No.
You've always been.
I've always been New Haven based.
But for the past 5 years, like the years that you've done comedy, you've kind of always been like New Haven. You know, like the mics that you go to are all pretty much New Haven.
Yeah, open mic wise, they're pretty spread out in Connecticut now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I gotta go, like once or twice a month. I'll go to the CT Comedy Theater open mic. That's a
Yeah, I've been away from the CT comedy scene so long. I haven't even gotten on stage once since I've been up here,
How long have you been back?
and I've been back over a month now.
Oh, that's criminal, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta just next time they have the CT Comedy open mic, you should go there, because that's as far as like a workshopping mic, it's probably not the best mic as to find out like whether your jokes are good or not, because it's a generous audience.
Right.
But it's a good place because so many comics go there, and so many of them book their own shows around the state, that it's a good place to go. Just show them what you can do to get work out of it. The CT Comedy Theater, it's in Hartford. You know where City Steam Brewery is?
Yes.
It's like diagonal across the street from there.
Oh, so it's across the street from there. It's CT Comedy Theater.
Yeah, it's on the corner of Asylum and Main Street.
Okay, and it's they do it twice a month.
Yep, every other week.
On what days?
It's always a Monday.
Oh, okay, Mondays. Awesome. Oh, I'll definitely hit that one. Who runs that one?
Well, I believe comic Laura Manasowicz runs the theater. Catherine Geronimi is one of the hosts, and then there's like a rotating co-host.
Oh, that's cool. Catherine Geronimi. I remember when she started comedy like right when I was leaving Connecticut, like right when I was moving to Florida.
Yeah.
And like I was like, like she like seems like she like knows what she's like doing. Like she seems like she's can't you tell like when you meet somebody that when they first start doing comedy, don't you feel like you could tell like when they, this person's going to be around for a little while, and then there's people that are like, oh, this person's a lifer. This person's going to be doing comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
And she got the hang of it right away. Like, she was funny as soon as she started, which is crazy.
Right.
Usually, like, something gets in your way. Like, you're good at joke writing, but you don't have any stage presence, and you're nervous up there. Or you have so much confidence in stage presence, but you don't know how to write a joke yet or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And she just came out of the box, like, pretty good at everything.
Definitely. Yeah. I was on a show with her last Christmas, I think, which is actually where I met the girl that I'm dating now.
Was that at the Bone?
No, that was at Comics.
Okay.
I haven't even I'm working at the Funny Bone now. I haven't even gotten on stage there. since I started working there. I'm working in the kitchen there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, it's always good for development to work at a comedy club, but I'm not sure if that applies to the kitchen.
No, honestly though, I feel like I think working in the kitchen there, I think the one thing that I've noticed is that whenever, because it's like you had to do like 100 orders of food, and it's like they all come at once because it's a comedy club.
Yep.
It is one of the most high pressure, kitchen jobs you might be able to have.
It's insane because all the orders come in at the same time, all the checks got to go out at the same time,
Right.
Because you got to keep it within. It's not like at a restaurant, 2 tables come in, 1 table comes in a little bit later, another couple tables come in. Like,
it's like everybody gets everything all at once, and it's like you can't make all that food all at once.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's nuts. Yeah.
So, the thing that bothers me a little bit is every time a comedian orders food, it's like the only thing that like on the slip, for the person cooking the food, it says for the comic. Why do I need to know this as the guy cooking the food that it's for the comic? I'm not gonna make it any different. Like, I think the one thing that I realized because of that is like, comedians are really kind of entitled assholes. You know what I mean? It's like they're not fucking doctors or lawyers or anything. We're not.
No, but the job, when you're doing the job on that level of like a national headliner,
right?
The travel is so hard on you, hard on your body, hard on your spirit, that taking the extra time to get something right for them, it seems worthwhile.
Right. Yeah,
because
but
they get into comedy because they're broken people anyway, and then they
as a cook, I feel like I'm supposed to do that with all the food anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I like the fact that a place will go out of their way to make the comic feel more at home, though,
right?
Or just try to avoid any issues with them.
Well, I think the thing about performing at the Funny Bone, which I've done, and it's been a few years since I've done it, but working as a host there, when you had to sit alone in the green room and they play like that old jazz music,
yeah,
it's like, I don't know, for some reason it's like that's when you realize how lonely like being a comedian can be.
Yeah, I like the staff at the Funny Bone, and I like performing there, but it's really being there sucks.
It's the corporate. Do you think it's the corporate aspect of it?
I mean, yeah, it's that. It's in a mall. It's never fun to be in a mall. I don't know. It's just it's the corporate aspect for sure, because everything is just so, and it just seems like it came out of a cookie cutter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh well, I think
like those places, they all feel like they're not comedy clubs. They're more like theme restaurants. You know what I mean?
But I think the cookie cutter aspect of it also might become in play. I think, have you only performed in like those competition shows that they have there, or have you done anything else?
I've hosted there before on the weekend. I've done guest spots before, and then I've done like that midweek stuff like you're talking about too.
That's where you get the cookie cutter aspect, right? Like, no, or do you think all around?
Yeah, just all around places like chain comedy clubs. They just feel, like I said, they feel like theme restaurants. Like this is like that. Remember that tropical rainforest cafe or whatever? Yeah. It's like if you swapped out comedy for rainforest, it's like this restaurant has a comedy show as its gimmick.
I think you just had a $1 billion idea right there.
Comedy in the rainforest
comedy,
cafe?
Yeah, rainforest comedy.
That sounds brutal. You're on stage in the middle of a joke, the fake lightning goes off, and all the parrots start screeching.
Trying to tell jokes, it's just like, bro, bro.
Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Oh man! So, do you do those the CT Theater open mics? What else is going on here now for open like how else has the open mic scene changed? Because I don't know anything about the open mic scene right now.
It's just scattered. You know what I mean? You go to Hartford one night, New Haven another night.
What's there to do in New Haven these days?
There's the Pacific Standard mic, which is every other Tuesday. I just had my mic canceled, which sucks.
Oh, all right. So you were hosting an open mic for a while.
I was doing a Sunday open mic, but it didn't last that long, dude. Cause
where was it at?
it's at a place called the Anchor Spa, which is a really cool venue. But I think somebody might have complained. I know, like one of their regulars,
right,
might have complained because we overheard somebody saying like, "This didn't used to be here on Sundays." I'm gonna talk to whatever the owner's name was. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then, like the next Sunday after, they were just closed altogether. So I don't know what's going on with that business. I hope they're doing good. No hard feelings towards them because that place was an awesome, like artsy bar spot.
I feel like you live in a kind of an artsy part of New Haven, don't you?
Yeah, this area where I live is pretty weird. I don't want to like say an address or anything, but it's like kind of in between the hood and Yale.
Yeah.
So it's like it's really mixed here and diverse, which I like. Like we have a recovery house across the street. So
Southern's pretty close to here, right?
Yeah. Southern's probably like 5 minutes from here.
Yeah. You know what? When I was driving here, I thought I would end up being on 95. I thought I would have to cross the Q Bridge, to come here. But I took that other stretch of highway, the one that goes through. What's the name of that stretch of highway? The one that goes like under the tunnels and has like all the rest stops.
Under the tunnels and all the rest stops.
Yeah.
Oh, the Merritt Parkway.
The Merritt, yeah. Whenever I take the Merritt, what I always think, like, I always feel like that, like the episode of The Simpsons with the stone cutters, where he gets to take that other stretch of highway to work.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's how I feel when I take the Merritt, because it's like, it just seems like it's so much safer than 95, and what's the deal with that?
Trucks aren't allowed to it because all the overpasses are so low, which makes it more pleasurable. It's also like more scenic.
Right.
I think it's like just a highway that was built before super highways, like before 95 or whatever. So it's like more quaint. It's got charm.
I don't know. It's weird because you take the Merritt and you're like, wow, this is the best kept secret in Connecticut. But there's all these other people driving on it. You're like, nah, I'm just an idiot. Why do I never drive this way?
Yeah, it's just it cuts through so many like sparsely populated areas that it's like all you're seeing is trees and hills and stuff. So it does feel like a secret passageway.
Yeah. Maybe that's
like Batman going to his Batcave.
Maybe that is the highway for the, like the Freemasons.
I don't know about that, dude. Because how would we know about it? We're not Freemasons, or are you?
Maybe there's like an even like more like, you know how like it's like you barely take the Merritt, but then there's another stretch of highway for the Freemasons that's like even more scenic and nice.
Are you trying to tell me that you're a Freemason, dude? Because I don't allow those culties in my house.
No,
these guys worship a protractor, dude. Get out of here with that nerd shit.
They worship a protractor. Oh,
that's
yeah,
like
it does kind of look like a that's a compass. A protractor is the one that's like a half circle with the numbers on it.
Oh, okay.
The compass, yeah, it's a compass.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
I forgot all my drafting from high school.
It's all good, man. Don't worry about it. I don't know, though. I feel like, do you ever think, like, if you join the Freemasons, like, you might be more successful in comedy?
I don't know.
Look at the characters that have been
I feel like I'm successful
that have been Freemasons in comedy. You know what I mean? Like, Fred Flintstone, he was kind of a Freemason, right?
He was whatever their version of the Freemasons was.
Yeah, him and Barney were
Loyal Order of Water Buffalo.
The Water Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
And then you got Homer. He was a stone cutter.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. There was like like an episode of the Drew Carey show that was kind of like defiant of the Freemasons. Like I think he was like the first one to like call them out for being racists.
Yeah. I mean, I already feel like I'm pretty successful in comedy because I didn't have any goals when I came into it. Like I had one goal. I was like, I honestly thought I was gonna die. It was like I was a couple years out of the psych ward. I had this shitty job that I hated, and I think I was trying to kill myself with Chinese food and beer and cigarettes. So it was like,
I mean, that is a deadly combination: Chinese food,
yeah,
beer,
dude.
and cigarettes.
So I was just like, oh, let me see how good I could get at this before I die. And then, I've got to do so much stuff in comedy where I was like, never the star or the headliner, though, but I got to work with all these people I respect and do some really cool shit. So I feel like everything is just gravy that comes my way now.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I'm just enjoying it wherever it takes me.
So you had no like real goals or intentions at first with comedy, but I mean,
Just to keep getting better,
the-
and as long as I keep getting better, I'm successful, I feel like.
Do you still feel the same thing now?
Yeah, I just want to keep getting better.
Just keep getting better. All right,
Keep getting props
I
from
can
like
respect that. Yeah.
Like when I do a show with the comic that I respect, and then you know what I mean, they're complimentary of me or whatever. As long as I could keep like knowing that I'm on the right track, that's fine. I'm good with it.
Who were like your heroes in comedy though?
When I first started, it was like pretty general. Like I liked Cosby, Carlin, Patrice O'Neill, and then like in the few years before that, I liked Jim Jeffries. My tastes have expanded crazily.
Right.
Because
yeah. I think that when you become a comedian and I don't think you realize just how many people do comedy. Like when you're not a comedian, when you become one, you just it's like there's a whole world of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it changed my taste too. Like when I first started, I was doing like edgier, devil's advocate comedy because that's what I listened to. And then as you develop on stage, you realize what you're good at writing and what you are what your voice is better at delivering. And for me, it ended up, I don't want to say like alternative, but definitely sillier than everything I do now is so much sillier than when I started.
Yeah, I remember you did have some edgy material. I don't know. On the drive here, I was thinking of the one joke specifically about it was a joke where it was something to the effect of if you got drunk and you smashed into a pole.
Yeah, I know the joke you're talking to. I
so-
knew you were gonna fucking say that, dude.
And then I'm like, did the Me Too movement just kind of like squash that joke? Like, is that like joke? Does that joke have a place in the world today?
It just doesn't fit with the rest of my material now.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I was still doing that kind of material, I'd still do that joke. But like as your act develops and you get more stuff, some of the shit just doesn't fit in there anymore, you know?
Right.
It's-
So you're like when you first started, you were trying to be edgy. You feel like
I don't even know if I was just trying. That was just my sense of humor at the time because that's what I liked, you know? That's
Okay.
what I listened to.
I mean, I think you've always been professional though. I don't think you were like it may have been like the edgy would be like the brand of the humor, but I don't think you were trying to like push things over the edge. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I wasn't.
You weren't trying to piss anyone off.
No, my goal was always to make people laugh, but there was always like there still is an element, but of let me see what I can get away with at the same time. Like how far can I go and still keep the crowd on board? But I have that now, but just with weirdness. Now it's just like let me see how weird a thing I could say and get away with it.
I feel like there's gonna be a whole new crop of open micers, female open micers that are trying to be edgy because of that show, The Marvelous Miss Maisel. Have you seen that show?
No, but I can tell you. Do you know Nicole Auclair? She's from Rhode Island. She does comedy around here a lot, though.
I've never met her.
She I've seen her at roast battles before, and she's always great at roast battles. And I think the reason why is we did a show here in Josh's garage, and it was the first time I got to see her do her regular set, and it's all like these 1 and 2 line jokes that are super edgy but so clever, and also coming from a woman, so it like makes people let their guard down for like edgier stuff.
Right.
And she kills, dude. She's so fucking funny.
Anyone that's like really good at one-liners is somebody that I like to listen to and watch. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
Because that's never something I've never really been good at. Like,
Yeah, that's a lot of my development in comedy changed like when roast battles started coming to Connecticut like 2 years ago. And it's because you want to be as brief as possible and get as much as you can across, get the point across in as little words as you can.
right.
And it changed my entire act. Like I started improving in regular comedy because you just learn how to trim the fat.
I know what you mean. Like, yeah, you want to be direct in when it comes to roasting. You want to be direct and as fast as possible. You can't have any fat on your jokes.
Yeah. Dude, me and Andrew Manning did a roast at New York Comedy Club on Thursday. We roast battled each other.
Right.
And it was the most fun I've ever had on stage in my life.
Really?
We were slaughtering each other. It went 3 rounds. They do a lot of jokes there. It's 13 jokes total, so it's 3 jokes each the first round, 5, and then 5 if it goes to a third. And we tied the first 2 rounds, so we went to a third to decide who won it. And it was great, man.
That's I've only been to New York Comedy Club once, and I think I had the exact opposite experience because it was it was just like this depressing open mic. It was like 4 comics there.
Yeah, New York open mics are depressing,
Yeah.
but I think that's super helpful for development too. Like
Yeah.
my favorite mics are the ones where if there's any crowd there, it's like 4 people, and it's a bunch of comics, and if you could get 8 people on board with something, then a crowd of 40, a crowd of 100, a crowd of 200, it's going to be so much easier.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like those
It's like
those
batting practice.
small New York crowds are like the toughest people to entertain because it's like they're people that like feel like they've seen everything anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like as I was saying, like what people benefiting from Joker's Wild closing. After that closed, everything shifted to bars here, right?
Right.
So you're battling these drunks all over Connecticut in these little sparsely populated bars, and like when I go to New York now, I feel like I always do well there. Because that's what New York shows are, man. Even at most of the clubs, unless you're at the fucking Comedy Cellar or Caroline's or something crazy like that, you know, that successful people do. At like the lowest level, even it's all bar shows. Every comedy club down there, except for like the big couple of them, is a bar show.
And living in Florida for 2 years, it was pretty much all bar shows that I was doing. But it's weird because it's like there's a lot of real artsy type bar, you know, clubs that you could do, and the people are really on. You know, there's bar shows where there's crowds that come to see comedy, and they're really on board for comedy.
Yeah.
And then there's bar shows where you'll go, and like the comedy is like really an afterthought. It's like.
Yep.
They'd much rather watch the baseball game than, you know, watch the comedy show that's going on in the corner. You know what I mean?
For sure, dude. One of the great things that's happened in Connecticut comedy since you left was that we have a.
It's the fact that I left.
Yeah, that did help us a bunch. We had 100% less Hamburglar impressions for a while there. No, but we have an alternative scene now, which is great too. So it's like coming out of the CT Comedy Theater opening, there's like shows there tend to skew more alternative, and then the people who are coming up there are putting on their own alternative shows like Tasty Chicks Comedy, which is Avielle Stern from Massachusetts, hilarious, right. And Trisha D'Onofrio, who's like a hilarious, like almost demure school teacher who does comedy, and everything she does is just like really charming and witty. So they put on these alt shows. Well, they'll do it in people's backyards, wherever. You know what I mean?
Right.
And having an alternative scene is
I mean,
important.
I've definitely seen a couple of things because I mean, I've still been in the group CT Comics when I was down in Florida. I would like see like these things like living room open mic or like I don't know.
Yeah.
The few things that like Brian Barganier would be posting, I'd be like, well, like this is so different, but like.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of it somehow. You know what I mean?
Every comedy community needs a club scene, a black scene, an alternative scene, and a bar scene. And then once you can hone your jokes until they work at all four of those places, then you have something. You know what I mean? You don't.
I feel like that's some great advice for anyone that's starting out. Like, I think that's the one thing you need to tell like anyone that's starting out in comedy.
Yeah, you just gotta.
It's like, these are the four scenes. What did you say they were? The club scene,
black scene, alt scene, and bar scene. Man, you just samurai jack your way through these places, learning all these different crowds. You know.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about your podcast for a little while. Your
fantasy
film
film
ball. And I gotta say the only episode I listened to is the one where you and Sean Murray did a commentary of my comedy album. Or you can't even really call it a comedy album. It was only 20 minutes long.
36 with the skits.
It's 36.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun thing to do because we were pretending to try and fit the theme of the show. Like normally with the show, we'll take either a really good or really bad movie, and then we'll recast it. But we'll talk about the movie a lot, and like try and add little nuggets where we can about its impact and influence.
It's like commentary for the movie, right? Should I be, if you're listening to Fantasy Film Ball, should you be watching the movie?
No, it's not like a watch along.
Oh,
I did one.
That's what I thought it was this whole time.
I did one watch along, which was the movie Mother, and that was more of a joke because it was like I want to do this because it's such a punishing movie to watch, and then I did like the absolute worst commentary over it.
Right.
So I was like, I want to see how many people will endure this, like how many people will actually listen to this shit, and it was like. It was a low listened to episode, but still like 30-something people actually tried to do that.
To watch the movie and listen to the commentary at the same time. All right, so what do you think? What are the episodes you would recommend to me to listen to at Fantasy Film Ball? Like, what are some of the greatest hits of it?
Jaws with Mike Fanoia, and then Forrest Gump, which is our most recent one, are probably the two best episodes we have.
Right. Who's on the Forrest Gump episode?
Well, the Forrest Gump episode is me and Sean, and then Sean Murray, New York City-based comedian, also does a lot of stuff up here in New Haven. Does
he live in New York now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
where in New York is he living these days?
Queens.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So he's my co-host. Dan Rice is a co-host, but he's got a new job which prevents him from co-hosting most of the time.
Right.
Sometimes he'll send in like phone pics or whatever. But that episode was me, Sean, Dan Calwhite, another comedian from around here, and Corey Brown, sometimes comedian.
I like to listen to Corey Brown. What's a good episode to listen to with Corey Brown?
Forrest Gump.
Oh, he's on that one.
Yeah, and then we had Thomas Drew. He was sharing a mic with Corey. He's a New Haven-based artist.
Okay.
So to have a non-comedy voice on there and watch how like weird and artistic he got with his picks was real fun.
Right. So the whole point of it is you're recasting a movie.
Yeah, we take a movie, we start with the director, like who would you like to see direct a remake of this? What would their vision be like? And then we cast around that.
Okay. I like that idea. Would you want to do one with me, or we do like a Spike Lee movie? I think that would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Because I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about how Spike Lee movies are casted lately, and it's like it's at face value before you pop in any of his movies, you think it has to do with race, and you think it's a white black thing, but it's never a white black thing. It's always a black Italian thing.
Well, that's
You know what I mean?
That's for sure one of them.
But it's never. I don't know. It's never the as broad as just white people. It's always
yeah, like
Italian
25th
people.
Hour is Irish.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I realized that while
Black-
it's like I kind of knew it like after I've seen Do the Right Thing, but then you watch the movie Jungle Fever. It's like what is Spike Lee got against Italian people? Or maybe he
I
really
think that's
loves
just
Italian people.
Brooklyn. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
who was interacting in
Yeah.
Brooklyn when he grew up. So it's probably just him drawing on personal experience. But his new one, Black Klansman,
Was it good? Did you see it?
incredible.
Yeah,
It might be my favorite Spike Lee movie.
really.
It was so good.
The thing that I've been saying about it after watching the trailers, I feel like it's Spike Lee, but it looks like it's kind of like got like a Tarantino kind of like feel to it.
Yeah, there's for sure elements of that in there. I know Jordan Peele, I think, was a producer on it as well. I don't know how much of his influence went into it, but it feels so modern, and if a lot of it felt like a new chapter for Spike Lee.
Right.
Maybe he was like out of his. Just trying new stuff, experimenting, and what he put together, it was fucking great.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, you definitely.
It's still
should.
in theaters, right?
I believe so.
Maybe I'll take my girlfriend to go see it. We that's because we just watched Jungle Fever the other day, and I had never seen. Have you ever seen Jungle Fever?
No.
Oh my God! There's a scene in the movie that is so great where Wesley Snipes is looking for Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
And he plays like this crackhead.
Yep.
Who's his brother, and he Charlie Murphy's like this just as this cameo. He's this drug dealer in the street. And I don't know, for some reason I just love his line so much where he's like I'm looking for my brother, man, you know where he is, and Charlie Murphy's just like, he's at the Taj Mahal, man, crackhead capital of the world.
Is it an Atlantic City movie?
No, it takes place in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why is there a Taj Mahal in Atlantic City?
Yeah, there used to be the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. That's
Right.
where WrestleMania 4 was.
No, it's just in the movie. It's just a giant crack house. It's just a crack house with like thousands of crackheads.
So it was ironically called the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. It is pretty impressive to see that many people smoking crack in one place. Yes, I definitely recommend Jungle Fever.
I've seen enough people smoking crack in houses. That's not going to sell me on that movie.
Halle Berry plays a crackhead in that movie too. Plays Samuel L. Jackson's crackhead girlfriend.
The hottest crackhead of all time.
Yes, I don't know. For some reason, even as a crackhead, you're like, yeah, she's still hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. You can't hide her.
It's like that Jim Gaffigan joke where he's talking about her in a Monsters Ball. You remember that one?
No.
Where he's talking about he's like sometimes people are so beautiful I have a tough time following movies. Or he's like Halle Berry, she plays this poverty-stricken woman, and I'm like, why doesn't she just become like a model or something? You know?
Yeah.
She could be the next Halle Berry.
Good point. Fair point, Jim Gaffigan.
All right. I feel like we're winding down a little bit.
Sure.
No, I feel like we could do some more reminiscing though. Like, I think let's talk about
Remember when I got quoted in the paper for shitting on you at that fucking roast?
Yeah, honestly, that roast may have been one of the. It was really a pivotal moment in my life because I think my girlfriend at the time decided that she was going to leave me.
Was that the loud laugher?
What was that?
Was that the loud laugher girlfriend
yes,
you had?
the loud laugher girlfriend. Yes. But I was living with that girl for a year, and when she dumped me like right after we did that roast, and yeah, it just shows how comedy is like I should have been much more prepared for that roast.
Yeah, that's why I yelled at you. You were up there and you had like 3 of them that didn't work in a row, and I was just like, You had 2 weeks to write for this.
No, honestly though, I remember being so bad. Like that was probably one of my worst moments in comedy. Like in all the years I've been doing this, like that night was probably, because not only did I tank on stage, but like the bombing like just like continued. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my girlfriend left me. I lost my place to live because I was living with her. It's like the bombing just kept like
that's tough, man. That's a rough.
after that. You know what I mean?
That's a rough go.
But honestly, everything worked out well. And I quit my job at the pawn shop. Then I moved to Florida, became a full-time teacher for a couple of years, and now I'm back here. So
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone else who's ever made that leap from pawnbroker to teacher.
now I'm I went back to the pawn shop and I'm substitute teaching. So a couple days a week I'm teaching, a couple days a week I'm pawnbroking.
Is it the same pawn shop?
Same pawn shop.
Yeah. Are you teaching high school kids?
Yeah.
It'd be funny when you see them come in there and like hawking their parents' shit so they could buy weed or cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah, but it's I work in East Hartford, which really isn't close to where I'm teaching, which is Willimantic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good distance, dude.
Yeah, I doubt I'll ever see my. But actually, there is a kid that went to Willimantic High School that it now works at the New London pawn shop. So it's weird. The guy that I was subbing for at one point was his teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a rough one. It's tough to navigate. I can't understand how anyone could ever take you seriously as a teacher.
But back to that roast that I feel like one thing that happened with that roast is I went on to be I was in a roast like down in Florida before I moved. The group of comics that I really hung out with roasted me. Like they had a roast for me at the Robot Brewing Company. And there was this 18-year-old kid that's just started doing comedy. His name's Victor Petrov. Like he really wanted to be on the roast. Like he kept like nagging like the other comics that were doing the roast for me to be on it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the night of the roast, he's on the roast and he was very unprepared for the roast. And I just felt like I was watching when he was, attempting to do it like a young me up there. You know what I mean? Where it was like, I was in like this kid's shoes, like, a few years back.
PTSD flashbacks of the Joker's Wild Roast. We weren't even roasting a comic. We were roasting the bartender. Just any excuse, right? Any excuse to have a...
But let's be honest. I caught most of the joke. Like, I was made fun of much more than the person that was being roasted that night. Don't you think?
Maybe, yeah. It's possible. I think a lot of people were riffing on your set that you had earlier because I think you went first.
Yeah. I think the article, like, I don't know, for some reason I went back and read that article not too long ago that did you hire a woman from I don't know what newspaper it was?
No, it was the New Haven Independent, and I don't even know how she found out about it. She was one of like 6 audience members that were there.
I thought Pat said something about you asked somebody to come to write a piece on it.
No, I wouldn't even know who to reach out for something like that.
Yeah,
maybe he did, but if he did, I didn't know about it.
Anyways, I just love that article. Like how, like, I don't know. There was like certain people like she like shit on and like said it was like doing bad, but like how complimentary like her blurb about Sean Murray was.
Oh
like,
man,
say like how he had like an avalanche of hair,
an avalanche of twisted hair, cresting above his brow or something like that.
The only reason she wrote that article is because she wanted to fuck Sean Murray.
It sure seemed that way. As far as I know, she didn't. I feel like Sean would have told me about that. But Yeah, man, she really loved his stuff.
Sean was really young, so I don't know if he went for it after he read that article, or
Yeah,
that girl was definitely much older than him. He was 21 at the time, maybe.
Not even. I think he's like 19, 20. But that's why they call him the Gerber baby.
They call him the Gerber baby?
I call him the Gerber baby. I make up nicknames for Sean all the goddamn time. And I don't know why he continues to let me, but as long as he lets me, I'm going to keep doing it. Started with he was calling himself the Golden Child for a while.
Yeah.
And I was just like, look at you thinking you're the fucking Diamond Boy. And then he ran with Diamond Boy for a good long time. It had like a 4-year run.
Oh, man. All right. Is there anything you want to promote? Anything you want to let the people know for the 1,000 Comics listeners?
No,
we
just
wrap up?
we already mentioned Fantasy Film Ball. Listen to Fantasy Film Ball. You don't even really need to like movies. You just need to know pop culture, because we normally do pretty popular movies that you couldn't help but have seen, you know?
Yeah. Listen to the episode Stosh and Sean Murray did. That's a commentary of my my first attempt at a comedy album.
Yeah, that was fun as hell.
Died and Gone Bowling.
It was so much fun, like just pretending that it was like a classic lost comedy album from the 80s.
From the 80s, yeah.
And then anytime you mentioned anything that came out after the 80s, and we had to
try to figure out how you could fit it into the 80s.
We had to do mental gymnastics to explain it away, which was it was challenging and a lot of fun. And I think that was a pretty funny episode.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. I got to tell you though, you kind of inspired me to release my comedy album I got on YouTube now, which is
How did I do that?
All right. So what happened was I had been laid off from the school that I was teaching at. And you sent me a message about asking me if I still had tracks for, I could send you the tracks for Died and Gone Bowling, my, first comedy CD.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think you just asked me what I was, and I always had it in my head that I wanted to put together the comedy album. Like I had everything recorded, but you actually inspired me to put it all together. Just, I don't know. It was some comment that you made. I don't even remember what the comment was.
Have you fixed the new album yet, so it doesn't have two of the same 9-minute track on it?
It might not be fixed on SoundCloud, but if you listen to it on YouTube, it's the way it should be.
That was the funniest thing in the world, because like the first one that you made, it was like you'd been doing comedy for like 3 to 6 months and thought it was a good idea to put out a comedy CD. So like everything was like, it was nothing. It was just like they weren't even jokes yet.
Right.
You hadn't developed at all. And then you put out another one years later, and it's like, oh, let's see if you got this one right. And then I go to listen to it, and it had two of the exact same 9-minute track on it.
Right.
In two different spots.
That was something that went wrong in the editing process for SoundCloud. For some reason, you could edit tracks on iTunes, but when you upload it to SoundCloud, it doesn't come out edited.
Yeah.
So the one that was the two tracks that were the same, two really long tracks that were the same, were supposed to be edited to 2 tracks.
Yeah.
So if it's still that same way on SoundCloud, I don't know if it is. If you guys ever listen, if any of you people out there listen to my comedy album on SoundCloud, which is Matt Heath Class Clown Revisited, just listen to it on YouTube. And you might anyone that listens to the show probably already listened to it on the YouTube, because it's on the same YouTube page as this podcast. Anyways, nothing else you want to promote and put out there?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being on the show, Stosh.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this. This is pretty fun.
All right.
Not as fun as my podcast, clearly, but I just have a better podcast than you. I don't know what else to say. You know, maybe someday you could have a podcast as good as mine.
Well, regardless, thank you for being on the show.
No problem, dude.